Okay, this is the end of the Unit 1 review packet, questions 15 through 18. We're going to be graphing absolute value and doing transformations. So first, to identify our transformations, let's go from left to right. I see a negative. That means I have a reflection. 3 is a stretch of 3. 1, remember this is like our x. This moves right or left, but it's kind of the opposite of what we would think. So we might think plus 1 is right, but we have to think the opposite. That's left 1, and then this is up 2. To get our vertex, we are looking at these two numbers, and again, we kind of need to think opposite. We're going to switch the sign of the one in the absolute value sign. So it's our x value is -1, our y value is 2. So let's graph it first before we even think about the domain and range. So my vertex is at -1, +2, and my slope, it doesn't ask for slope, but I think it's helpful to write it down, is -3, or -3/1. So from my vertex, I am going down 3/1, down 3/1, and I have to do it the other way too to make my other side of my V. Down 3/1, down 3/1. So here's my graph. Now it's a little bit easier to see domain. My arrows are going on forever, so it's going to be from -infinity to +infinity. My range, it's going to go down to -infinity, but it never gets any higher than that y value of my vertex, which is 2, but it does include it, so that is brackets. Okay, next one, inequality, but that doesn't change my transformations. That negative still means I have a reflection. The 3/5 means I compress. That is less than 1, I'm compressing. That 2 means I'm moving to the left 2, and that means I'm going down 2. My vertex, I need to again look at these two numbers for my vertex. The first one, I need to switch the sign, so it becomes -2, and that is still -2. So when I graph this, I have -2, -2 for my vertex. My slope is -3/5. So I'm going down 3, 1, 2, 3/5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Down 3, 1, 2, 3/5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I need to go on the other side to get the other part of my V. So down 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that way. So here, oh, and you know what? Before I drew this line, I should have been looking at this inequality. That means that I need a solid line, and I am shading above. So it's a good thing that it was a solid line because I already drew my line. Solid line, and I'm shading above. So that means all of this gets shaded because I am greater than. I want my y values to be bigger. My y values are bigger up here than they are down here. Okay, number 17, write an equation or inequality. Okay, so to write it, you need, I want to make note that it's a reflection, but what you really need is the vertex and the slope. So my vertex is here at, it looks like 1, -1, and my slope down 1/1, down 1/1, so my slope is -1. So when I write it, if I write it as f of x, that negative, or because I have a reflection, it's negative, and then it's just 1. I could write the 1, but I'm going to write my absolute value here, x. This becomes -1, and then -1 at the end. And I would check this on your calculator. If this is your quiz or test question, you need to be checking. So you need to go to your calculator, and you need to put this in. So negative, and then the absolute value of x -1 minus 1 and hit graph. And you should be checking and making sure that it looks like your picture. And this one does, so we know that we're good. All right, last question. This time I have an inequality, and I know it's an inequality because I see the shading and I see the dashed line. So the fact that I have a dashed line means it's not going to be or equals. And the fact that my shading is below means it's less than. So it's going to be just this. This is what I'm dealing with, less than. I'm just going to write that there so I don't forget. All right, this one is also a reflection. My vertex on this one is at 2, 0. And my slope for this one is still down 1 over 1. So now I'm going to write y, and that's where this comes into play, is less than. And again, it's less than because it's a dashed line and it's shaded underneath. And then I have a negative absolute value because I don't have a compress or a stretch. X, if my vertex is 2, that's going to be minus 2. And then there's nothing following. So y is less than negative x minus 2. And again, you could check this one on your calculator. It's going to be negative absolute value x minus 2. Hit graph. Now it's not going to do your shading or line for you right now, but at least you can see, hey, I've got the right graph.